Yo, what's going on, y'all? Jimmy Butler is a Golden State Warrior. I'm not allowed to sleep, eat, rest, chill for even a moment. The only thing I know how to do at this point is talk about NBA trades here on the channel. It's consumed my life, and guess what? It's the best. I love this time of year. It's been the most insane deadline ever. Let's break down the trade. Jimmy Butler saga finally ending with the Miami Heat. He's a Golden State Warrior, and that comes after the whole Kevin Durant thing fell through earlier today, where he was supposed to be traded to Golden State, actually. Like, it was almost all set in stone, and he's like, no, I don't want to go there. And the Warriors didn't want a disgruntled star. So they end up getting Jimmy Butler, who apparently is happy with going there because he even signed an extension, 2 years, $112 million. And the full trade package is the Dubs getting him, the Heat getting Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, a protected first round pick that's top 10 this year, top 10 next year, and unprotected that final season, as well as Kyle Anderson, who originally was supposed to go to the Raptors, but that fell through. The Pistons get Lindy Waters, Josh Richardson, and a second round pick. And the Utah Jazz get Dennis Schroder. There's a lot to talk about here, but let's begin with what the Golden State Warriors got, which is Jimmy Butler. And I've seen a lot of people freak out about this, saying, oh, why are they trading for an old Jimmy Butler? Why are they paying him that much money? That's a mistake. I think the Warriors are one of the only teams that I feel good about doing something like this because, yes, Jimmy's up there in age. He's not as good as he used to be, and that is an overpay for Jimmy Butler, the 2 years, 112 that they gave him. But at the same time, this is the move that they needed to make. I've said for years now, they need to get Steph Curry some help. I understand you don't want to mortgage your future. You're probably not going to win anything for the rest of Steph's career, but still you owe it to him. He is a top 10 player of all time, arguably the best point guard ever, the best player for sure in Golden State Warriors history. He has earned the right to stay competitive through the end of his career. It had started to reach a point where I thought Steph was just going to go through the Kobe arc of the last few years. He's just playing on some of the worst teams imaginable. But with the Jimmy Butler acquisition, they make themselves significantly more competitive. Now, do they become a championship team with this move? No, I don't think so, but they get themselves closer. They at least make themselves, in my opinion, capable of winning a playoff series if they rise up the standings and get the right matchup, specifically if they make more moves, because one of the other great things about this deal, not only do you get Steph Curry some help, you don't have to really give up any of your significant assets. You trade Wiggins, whose contract was kind of bad anyways. You give up Kyle Anderson and Dennis Schroder, guys that, with Dennis Schroder, he didn't fit your system. I didn't love the trade for him in the first place, so you move off of him very quickly. Kyle Anderson wasn't really playing that much anyways. You've got a lot of depth pieces that can take some of his minutes. Lindy Waters wasn't doing much for you. This year's first round pick, it's not going to be top 10, so the Heat are going to get it. And who cares? It's going to be like an end of the lottery selection, so ultimately, you really didn't give up much of anything that was valuable to you. You kept Kuminga, you kept Pods, you kept Moody, you kept Trace Jackson Davis. All the young guys that the Warriors are looking at as their future stayed here in Golden State. So if the Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry thing doesn't work out, you still keep all those guys. You can still go through the youth movement that you want to in a couple of years, while in the moment, you give Steph Curry a chance to compete. Or if something else pops up, I think at this moment, after this deal, a Nikola Vucevic trade makes a ton of sense for the Warriors. They still have the money to make that work. They could trade a first-round pick because they only give up one protected one in that deal. You add some spacing, you add a big man. I like the idea a lot of them getting a guy like Vooch. They could even go a little bit, less so if they go after Chris Boucher. They could try and get Miles Turner, but I don't think he's actually available. Just go out there and try and get a big man, and suddenly you've got a really fun group brewing. Are they going to win a championship even if they make those moves this season? No, but if you go into the offseason and have the chance to reshape this roster and maybe bring in another star, then suddenly we could be talking about the Warriors having a chance at one final run. And that, if I'm Steph Curry, is all I can ask for. And I do believe that Steph Curry went to this front office and told them, get me another star or I might request out, or basically said, I'm going to be very mad if we don't get a star at this deadline, because they quickly went from, we're thinking about our future. We don't really want to give anybody up, which I guess they didn't hear. But then they immediately started just asking about every all-star on the table. They almost traded for Kevin Durant. That's how crazy they got at one point. Clearly, they were desperate, and they end up getting Jimmy Butler for really not that much. And the fit, I think, with Jimmy in this roster, it makes sense. I've always said that Jimmy Butler, as good as he is, as crazy as some of the playoff performances he's had have been, he's not the guy that's going to be a number one on a championship team. It's just not going to happen. I like him a lot better as a 2. Meanwhile, Steph Curry, like I said, needed that 2, and I think he can be a 1 on a championship team. So you pair them together, you get a guy who can create his own shot, who can get downhill, who can still provide you some really good defense in Jimmy, who can elevate his game when the moments matter the most. You've got Draymond Green as well as a defender. Like, this team's defense is going to be awesome. Just add a little bit more spacing at this deadline if you can, and you've got one of the more intriguing rosters with a ton of playoff experience in the field. I think it's a team that could really cause some problems. Like, if they make it to the 7 seed and play like the Houston Rockets in the first round, or a 6 and play Houston or whatever, an inexperienced team, they would have a shot. I would not count them out of that potential series. And one more time, that is all you can ask for if you're Steph Curry, is just give him a little bit more of a chance. Sure, your future might be kind of muddy. Like, say Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler really drop off over the next couple of years and you're just mediocre. At least you tried. I like that they made a move. They got aggressive. They did something. They had to do it. I think this is an amazing move for the Warriors. It should be the first of multiple, but this is a good step. I like it a lot. I don't see why I'm seeing so many people complain about this. Golden State did exactly what they should have. Real quickly for the Jazz and the Pistons, I don't have a lot of thoughts. Cool for the Jazz. Lindy is a shooter. Josh Richardson, solid veteran piece and a second-round pick. Like, cool, you get involved in this for really no loss of your own. I think they have to make something work because they don't have the roster spots to take in everybody, I don't think. But I guess, we'll wait and see on that front. With the Jazz also, I mean, Danny Ainge gets another second-round pick for facilitating a blockbuster like he did with the Luka deal. You get Dennis Schroder, who's a veteran playmaker. You can either waive him, flip him somewhere else. Like, it's fine. Like a C for both those teams. They just got involved, I guess. And then we have to talk about the Heat's return. It's not the best return in the world. That 2025 first round pick, it's not going to land in the top 10, like I said. I mean, the Warriors right now with the 14th pick, I don't think they're going to drop down the standings after this move. I think the only way they go is up. If not, like, say they end up maintaining, they would still be outside the top 10. So yeah, I don't think they're going to get that pick like next season or the year after. I think they're going to get it this year, like kind of towards the end of the lottery, which, I mean, isn't the worst thing for a player who like very clearly wanted to hurt the general manager. Like Pat Riley and Jimmy were at each other's throats. One of the more disgruntled stars we've seen in recent memory. So I wasn't expecting them to get much. I kind of wish they got like at least a couple more seconds or like one more first round pick or a swap, especially because Jimmy extended. Like, if the report came out that the Warriors were trading for Jimmy Butler and they were just going to try and see what happened, but weren't going to extend him, or Jimmy didn't want to extend, and they're basically going to just try to convince him, I would understand this a little bit more. I just wish they got like one more asset potentially, and they could still get something for like Kyle Anderson. I don't think they'll get anything for PJ Tucker and his money at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not done making moves though, like if they do flip Kyle Anderson or just make other moves on the edges. I would love to see still them move off of Terry Rozier's money. I don't think Terry Rozier really needs to be here anymore. I think he can go, but I do like Wiggins with this team, even though the contract is somewhat large. Wiggins is a good player. He's a good connecting piece, especially when you put him next to Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, and Cleo Ware now. I think they're going to have a really fun team actually over there in Miami. They've got a good mix of youth, some veteran type of pieces, and I don't think they could win a playoff series this year, but I think they could be competitive. I mean, they're coached by Eric Spoelstra. You always give yourself a little bit of a chance. And also, of course, with this deal, they're going to shed a lot of money. PJ and Kyle Anderson are both expiring. Wiggins has this year, the one after, and a player option, so that complicates things a little bit because that player option is for $30 million in 2027, and I don't see Andrew Wiggins giving up a $30 million player option. Maybe he plays out of his mind, and the salary cap keeps going up, so he's able to get maybe not the same amount of money, but like a similar amount just on a longer term deal. Like, I could see that working in their favor to clear up some cap space, because I do think their plan is to try and go into the 2026 free agency and get somebody, one of the big names that will be available. Like, I mean, maybe they go after Luka Doncic, who again now is a Los Angeles Laker. I can't believe I'm saying those words, but 2026 is supposed to be a pretty good draft class, so I think they're going to just try and clear up as much cap space as they can, keep Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, try and be competitive this season and next one. And if a big time trade comes along, I mean, you could still use Wiggins' money to make that deal happen. That could also be a play for them, is they're like, hey, we've got Andrew Wiggins to make about $30 million. If a star that we've been looking to go after, like say for some reason Giannis becomes available, you can use Andrew Wiggins' money to add into that deal to try and make it work. So I think there are other uses for his money outside of just trying to clear for cap space in that 2026 free agency, but that is one of the main avenues I'm looking at right now. So yeah, it's not the best return for the Heat. I was hoping they would get a little bit more, but again, with how disgruntled, how upset Jimmy was, and especially with him sabotaging the Heat at every turn, they tried to trade him like 30 different places, and he just kept saying, nah, I don't want to go there. I'm good. I don't want to go there either. I won't sign an extension there. Like, he literally came out and for a team in Memphis that I think would have made a lot of sense, said, you know, I'll go play anywhere except there. I will not play in Memphis, which is just insane. So Jimmy definitely screwed them over here. I know a lot of Heat fans that are just happy this thing is over. They don't even care about the return that they got back. They're just glad that they don't have to hear any more Jimmy Butler rumors, any more stories, suspensions. And I'm happy about that too. Even as a non-Heat fan, I'm just glad this thing is wrapped. I think ultimately it's going to be addition by subtraction for the Miami Heat. They can focus on their season, the development of their young players, and just go into this year's playoffs, have a fun series, probably get knocked out in the first round, and revisit stuff in the offseason while the Warriors suddenly get a lot more competitive. I don't know why it seems like every All-Star has to get traded from the East to the West or within the Western Conference. It's so rare that you see a star go from the West to the East. Like, it's Damian Lillard recently with the Milwaukee Bucks, and then it's like, what, Kawhi Leonard with Toronto? There aren't many examples that I can think of off the top of my head of a guy going from the West to the East. As a Western Conference fan, I'm sick of it. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, those are my thoughts right now on the Jimmy Butler trade, where we're at the moment. Maybe things could change by the time I upload this video because they're changing rapidly. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now on the Jimmy Butler trade. Let me know down below, how would you grade it for each side? Do you think it was the right decision for the Warriors to trade for a guy in Jimmy? Do you think it's a mistake and that I'm giving them a little bit too much of props? Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, hit the notification bell as always if you enjoyed watching and you want to see more trade deadline stuff. I promise you, there is more coming. There's going to be at least one video tomorrow breaking down every move if there's nothing substantial. If there's a really big move, there will be probably an individual video breaking that down. Yeah, a lot more thoughts coming. I might even live stream for a little bit during the deadline tomorrow. I'm not quite sure yet. But yeah, for right now, I appreciate you watching. I'll see y'all later. Real one, say it back.